What is going on, everybody? Bobby Fi here. A little tilted already because I just fell out of first place in the freaking lottery. I was in first and looking pretty good, and then Corbin Carroll hits a home run. Now not looking as good. Disappointing because I just had to fade the 2 innings. I needed 6 outs. I actually didn't even need to. I just needed the non-home run. I'm gonna have one more shot with Blade. And maybe another shot, but Soto won't make much of a difference. So it's really just Blade and Butler. So I have Blade and Butler one more time, and that's going to be basically what decides my fate from the morning. Man, that's a little frustrating because we were looking pretty good there, and we got Blade up here already, so we got to get Blade and Butler to any action from them. A couple of hits, a run, a stolen base, maybe. Everything's on the table. We got the bottom of the eighth and maybe the bottom of the ninth, but hopefully not. That means that there will be more scoring, and it's really hard to win these things. So it's all bunched up, kind of tilted. Would have been fun to win it, but it doesn't look like I'm the favorite anymore, which I definitely was very, very recently. Now I'm just a guy in fifth place, hoping for some love. All right, I'm going to talk about tonight's slate, and then hopefully when I jump back, I will be in first. I don't think it's going to happen, though. All right, so let's talk about it. We'll start off with FanDuel. This is DraftKings. I'm going to jump over to FanDuel real quick. And we don't have the Toronto lineup. This is where I'm at right now in terms of I just ran the Sims, and this is what I got. So I'm not as crazy about the Grant Holmes, but I'm okay with it. I like the idea of being a little contrarian. It's okay. It's not my favorite thing. I'm just going to make sure I get enough exposure to the guys that I want. Just make sure that those three don't get left behind. And I think you could make maybe a case for Barrios too, but I think that ideally you'd probably, you know what, let's just make it. We'll just make sure we have overweight the three pitchers I like the most. In terms of stacks, I'm interested in this Philly idea again. Shane Baz has been good, but Philly is good. Philly's got a good offense, and they have the kind of offense you want to be using too. They can steal, they hit home runs, all that stuff. 84 degrees, nice big run total against Baz, and then the bullpen of the Rays, which they beat up on yesterday. I'm kind of interested in this, so I am definitely like in on the idea of getting a little different with the Philly stack on FanDuel. They're cheaper over there, so it does make some sense that they're showing up for me. Atlanta is the ultimate, okay, we're going to go against Hunter Green. Hunter Green, obviously, for those of you guys who haven't been paying attention, has been, outside of one start, basically like the best pitcher in baseball. And I would like to not maybe do that, but I'm still weighing my options here. One thing I do want to do is I like the Blue Jays tonight, maybe more than the field does. Kikuchi's tough, but I'd at least like to get a little bit of the Blue Jays exposure. I'm getting getting 17%. Just make sure I have a little bit there. And I don't love the weather, and I think they're going to have decent ownership. Let me just double check before I do that with the Royals game. I'm not like loving. Let me just see real quick. No, players value batters. They're not getting that much ownership, so maybe because of the weather, I actually can't just fade this, which I really wanted to do. I'm debating. There is definitely some weather issues, and it's a little risky. So I was trying to consider that. Now, obviously, most of the ownership is going to come from Detroit, but it's not as high as you might think. It's not a great hitting day in Colorado, but you'd think you'd get to a little bit of this. And Detroit has got Job on the mound, who, by the way, I think is kind of an interesting play on DraftKings. But I also think I would like to get a little bit of exposure while people aren't going to be playing it, just because it's still Coors. It's 49 degrees, which is just bizarre to me that it's 49 degrees anywhere right now because it's so warm where I am. But I would like to at least make sure that I'm not Xing out these guys, especially the Colorado side should be the lower owned. I'm just going to make sure I get a little bit of exposure to the Detroit side as well. I think I would anyway. And no matter what, we're going to cap KC and the White Sox, although we didn't get White Sox, which is kind of shocking, at 20. So let's rebuild and see what we've got here based on that most recent stuff, and see where we end up. Still waiting for Goldie to update. He should update his project. Oh, maybe he just did. He did. He just did. So we'll have Goldie's projections very shortly, and that's where we're at. Evening, Andy. Good. What's up, everybody? This is a FanDuel build. We're gonna, we made a few tweaks, and then we are going to do one thing that I don't usually do, but it worked for me on this early slate. I think Vlad's going to hit a home run tonight, so I'm going to be on the forcing Vlad in. He's going to probably end up with more than that 11%. We'll see where it ends up, but just making a few tweaks. I'll get into NBA. I'm not going to be here past. The latest I'll be here is probably like 6:20, maybe 6:25. I do want to hand build my big buy-ins, and geez, man, I really thought that was going to come through. Did we get the bottom of the inning at least in the A's game? Let's see. We are. Oh my God, they tied it. And Tavares. Oh Jesus, maybe not so good now anymore. Maybe not even like in there anymore after a few little plays here because they're tied. Now maybe gets one more at bat, but it's just not ideal. A little frustrated, a little tilted. The moment. Can we get Bleday? How about just back-to-back homers for Bleday and Butler, and we call it? Oh geez, stop it! Stop falling back. These little tiny nothings are just moving me fractions behind. So it's basically going to come down to Bleday and Butler and like nothing else happening. And now I'm a long shot. So tilted, a little bit tilted. Looked good when literally right before I pressed the button to come on, I was winning the tournament. So a little bit frustrating. All right, we're going to run the Sims here and see what we get. Now, I am not probably going to play Kansas City and the White Sox in my big buy-in on FanDuel, but I am going to take a look. I'm open to leaving the not worrying about the weather for the lottery and the other stuff. I will if it's Washington, as I mentioned the other night, and I'm not going to there. So okay, let's see what we got here. So we went pretty wow. Vlad, a bunch of Santander. Now it'll give me some late swappability with that Colorado game. So I'm gonna set my alarm here, and around 5:25 we are going to be late swapping. So 5:25 I've got, and then I've got 6:15 for the NBA late swap, but we got 5:25 will be my late swap for MLB. All right, so just to give an idea of where I'm at. So this is the team stacks. Toronto's 60. That's weird because Kikuchi's not a bad pitcher, but he's struggled a little bit at times. And this is a team that should be very good against lefties just based on the contents of their lineup. So I'm kind of interested. It's giving me the Angels. So I'm okay with this because it's gonna factor into my late swap. And I can, if things are going well, I can swap into Colorado and Detroit if I want to. So this feels good enough for me to leave at the moment. I'm just going to make sure the pitching looks all right. And let's see where we ended up with pitching wise. So we ended up with Green, Holmes, Fried, Sanchez. Okay. I'm okay with this. I want to go back to that Philly thing though. Okay. So I do have a good portion of Philly at least. I do think that there's an argument for Philly tonight, but I am going to, let's see. I'm taking a quick look. Okay. Sorry, I got a lot of other stuff going on. Keep getting messages in. Had some family stuff this week, so it's been that. But I think this feels good enough to me to go ahead and run with for the moment. Now, again, late swap is going to be a thing. I might even do it before. I might do the 4:30 late swap also, but this is the one I'm definitely doing. So let's do CSV edit, and we will go choose file. I'll probably get to Baltimore on DraftKings to answer that question. Let me just double check my Baltimore notes. To be honest, I don't love Baltimore. You got 11-mile-an-hour winds. If you're going to play Baltimore, I play the lefties. Fortunately, you've got plenty of them. There's 4 guys who are going to start the game off lefties to start off the. So like maybe not Mountcastle, not as much Laureano, although he can do it with stolen bases and he's cheap. Yeah, I think that Baltimore's okay. I think the Twins are probably the more interesting side. Morton has not looked right. Now, I have this weird feeling Morton's going to have a game at some point and we're going to want to be ahead on it. I just haven't seen anything to show me when that's going to come. He's looked awful. And where are the Twins in terms of ownership? Let's just take a quick look here. And yeah, I can always late swap the 4:30. As long as it's not the early stacks. The Twins are not getting a ton of love. Okay. Well, I'm going to revisit that one. But again, not playing a ton of lineups on FanDuel. So for the time being, this is where we're at. And I am probably going to get to some of the Twins, maybe some. Again, I want the lefties. Only the lefties really for me. It's just 11-mile-an-hour winds. It's just hard to hit balls out, especially for teams that don't hit them out as much. So, all right, let's see where we're at. And okay, this is my DraftKings. So I'm going to change a few things. I don't need to have 100%, I don't think, of Hunter Green. So I'm just going to make it, cap it at 80. Playing 76 lineups, I think that's, I don't think I need 100% in a somewhat of a variant situation. I want to get some exposure to Philadelphia. Just little bits. We'll do 5 for them. I want little bits of make sure they still end up with some Toronto, and I will do the same thing with Vlad over here. I'm telling you, Vlad's hitting one out tonight, guys. Just remember I said it. You're going to see a home run from Vlad. For what it's worth. It's going to happen. Feel pretty good about it. Okay, so and then we'll drop this projection down a tiny bit. Let's just go. What do they have in projected? Oh, that seems low. Yeah, I feel better about the Goldie and Sheets projections than I do. Oh, I'm going to incorporate those. Okay, so let's do Sheets' projections. Let's just make sure that we don't have Sheets' last projections were they're too early. Goldie, so we're going to use Goldie's. Okay, so Goldie's projections and Goldie's ownership. I almost think the Goldie's ownership is more important than the projections. All right, I changed my team stacks. We're using the Goldie's projections. Again, I don't mind getting to a little bit. I think the Twin. I just don't love that hitting those hitting conditions over there, and I do like them. This is an interesting one with New York. I think I have a little bit of interest in definitely being like over the field or near the field on Cease. So I'm going to give Cease some love. And I think that this is a Yankees spot where you've got to take shots with Yankees stacks, especially depending on, let's see how low on they're going to be. Cease, we know, is a high variance guy. It's somewhat of a small slate. Not much love for the for New York, and I think we want to make sure we have some of that. So some C's, some New York. I want to be on both sides of that one. So I'm going to rebuild and see what we've got here, and we'll go from there. All right. Let's see where we're at. And getting a lot of Angels or FanDuel. Yeah, it seems like the Angels are SaberSim's really loving them today against Barrios. I don't mind sometimes attacking Barrios. It's not my favorite guy to attack on this slate, but it's okay. Again, you can't play everybody, and I'm trying to get exposure where I want to. Oh, we're gonna have to do the same thing with the White Sox, and we don't want to go overboard. So White Sox max 20 and KC max 20. And I only want to leave these in the lottery. I don't want to be getting to them in other stuff, just because that weather does feel like a little bit risky. All right. And let's see what I'm getting here. Let's go to run the Sims. So before the Sims, this is where I'm at. And it's a little too spread out. I think we want at least 25% of Hunter Green. He's got by far the highest upside. You can look at the Ks here. We'll sort by strikeouts. Hunter Green is, pretty far ahead of almost everybody. And this Grant Holmes thing is interesting because I can see both sides of it. I think I'm interested a little bit in Cincinnati, a little bit in Holmes as well. And team stacks. Are we getting to Cincy? Yeah, we are. And I like it. I'll just make sure in case I make any changes, this is where we go. And I'm going to save these, apply, and save these to the contest. All right. So save the contest. Let's just make sure the stack exposure looks all right. 5, 2, 5, 3. Okay. This is a slate where I don't mind doing it. You know what I said in the morning slate, no 5-mans for me. And it almost paid off with the win in the lottery. Somebody let me know if Lawrence Butler or Blade hits a home run. Knicks have no chance tonight, right? They see, yeah, they definitely have a chance, but I'm leaning towards these are the blowout games that we were expecting in game one. And then, oh, by the way, almost happened in game one. It's a very strange thing. So I'm going to lean that way myself, Triple J. I did get those updated, right? Let me just make sure. Yeah, I did. I just did that. Okay. I'm probably going to run one more before I get out of here anyway. And then we're going to talk some NBA really quickly. Let's take a quick look. I made some tweaks already on this. We'll talk about DraftKings, then FanDuel. As you can see, I boosted up the projection on Kristaps, and I think that makes a lot of sense. The other one I boosted the projection up on is Hartenstein, and I boosted it up and it still went down. Whose projections am I using? Let's use Saberson. No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to switch all the projections. That's weird though, because Sheets didn't have. What was that I just was looking at? Yeah, Sheets doesn't have. Something's wrong with Sheets' thing. So do not use Sheets' projections for NBA tonight. We are going to go ahead and use Goldie's. What is this Sheets thing doing here? So, okay, so now I'm going to have to go back and change. So the ones I want to bump up are Kristaps. I feel like we're too recency bias related here. I want to bump up Peyton Watson. I want to bump up Hartenstein. I actually feel pretty good about Hartenstein having a big game here. And I want to bump up Chet. Again, remember, perception is the enemy in DFS sometimes, because you got to too much recency bias is what everyone plays on, and we want to be different ourselves. So we are going to bump up those guys, and that is where I like it. Look at Sheets' projection, hefty. For some reason, his projections didn't work for Boston. I don't really understand what happened with that, so I'm not really sure. Westbrook, we like anyway, but I think it should be a little bit higher. I'm going to bump down Gordon. I'm going to bump down MPJ. This is too much MPJ. This is a danger. MPJ is clearly hurt. I'm not. At some point, I'm going to be bumping that back up again and some other things, but not today. Not going to touch that. And then we're going to bump up Peyton Watson a pretty hefty amount. Jokic, I don't mind skipping tonight, and I do want Shea. I want all these guys a little bit more. I do think this is the Oklahoma City blowout, but they obviously must win for them. It doesn't even be. Something's wrong with Sheets' projections today. We're not using Sheets' projections for NBA. It's got some sort of glitch in it. I don't love I think Caruso is to lean on the lower side, even though you're still going to get a bunch of them, is probably just right mathematically. And then Wiggins, because he could play some of that blowout run extending in the third quarter into the fourth, and if they blow him out, he gets that later run. So we're going to use him and Peyton Watson as examples of guys that we can maybe get a little bit overweight on, as well as Kason Wallace, who I think should be right around here. Isaiah Joe actually could fit in that category as well, but we're just bumping up a couple points. And then we are going to rebuild and see where we're at. All right. Yeah, for what it's worth, I do think this is the block. I think that OKC wins big, and I think that Boston wins big. That's just my take. Obviously, could be wrong. I thought that would happen in game one. I thought Denver would be in this series with a real chance to win. I did not expect that insane I mean, they were both insane comebacks. These games were both basically over. Is that just the rule now? Like, we're supposed to deal with? If you're up by enough in the NBA, you have no chance to win. Everybody just keeps coming back with these really weird situations. All right, quick check in on Blade and Andahar, and not Andahar. Oh God, it just got miserable. It was looking so good with just one inning to go. Frustration. That's what you get sometimes. Sometimes that happens. All right, so we're running this, and we're going to see. I bet you we're going to be well over the field on Porzingis. We're going to be well over the field on Chet. We're going to be well over the field on Hartenstein. And we're going to say projections be damned. I think Porzingis has a game tonight. I think his really big game is going to be game 3, but I think he's going to have a decent game tonight. I am a little worried. I know he was at shoot around. I know he's going to play, but I'm a little worried about him just because that was weird in the last game. And that there are illnesses going around. Maybe that's what they were seeing, but it just felt like a little funky. Anyway, so let's see where we get after we run the Sims. Still getting all that Aaron Gordon, even with the bumping his projection down a little bit. But we'll see after we run the Sims. I think we're going to get a little bit different. Watch all the Peyton Watson I'm going to get, possibly. Where Peyton Watson. I'm okay with it. Again, second game, late swappability, all that stuff. I really think Peyton Watson ends up playing more minutes tonight. They need to give Michael Porter Jr. more of a rest, and they can't just play all these guys a million minutes, especially if the game turns into a blowout. I think Peyton Watson ends up getting more run tonight. I also think you could argue for it's just that they're too cheap. Use those guys, Strother and whatever else we can use for Showdown, but not for the main slates. I don't think it just doesn't quite make enough sense. But I like this. Where did we end? So Hartenstein 62. We like that. And then where did we end up with Kristaps? We don't like that. We want more out of Kristaps. We want more Kristaps. We're going to run that. We like Tatum tonight, and we're going to rebuild. That one thing I wanted more of is I just feel like this perception thing is getting too out of control. If Kristaps plays a normal game tonight, we could see him be like get 50, and he's going to be under-owned. I promise you. I've seen this too many times, and we've obviously crushed the NBA postseason. Reminder, all the packages and everything. We've got an incredible offering. I hope you guys take advantage of it. All right, so let's see what we've got. And we're going to run the sim. I don't know why we wouldn't get more Kristaps. I just don't want to get it to where I'm 100% of them. That's why I didn't raise it even to 33. I thought about it. Yeah, it's interesting that Cheese's projections didn't account for the Celtics tonight. I don't know. I haven't seen that happen before. Just an unusual thing, but it's good to notice it. And then where did we end up on Porzingis? Boy, they're really going to make me do it, huh? They're going to make me go all the way, keep going up. All right. Well, we're going to get more of them now. All right. Anyway, guys, I'm going to be rebuilding this. Those are the guys who I think you should be highlighting and trying to get more exposure to. I don't really have a whole lot more to add or offer. I'm going to send my updated ownership to our subs and say good luck.